Here is the complete story of the United States, broken down into its key historical chapters from its indigenous roots to the modern era. Pre-Columbian era and European exploration, before 1776. Long before Europeans arrived, the land was inhabited by diverse Native American tribes, each with rich cultures, languages, and governance systems, like the Iroquois Confederacy. In 1492, Christopher Columbus's voyage opened the floodgates for European exploration. By the early 17th century, the British established permanent settlements, starting with Jamestown, 1607, and the Plymouth Colony, 1620, by the Pilgrims. Over time, Great Britain formed 13 colonies along the Atlantic coast, built on agriculture, trade, and unfortunately, the early reliance on the transatlantic slave trade. The American Revolution and Independence, 1775 to 1783. As the colonies grew, tensions rose between the colonists and the British Crown over taxation without representation, e.g., the Boston Tea Party. 1775, the Revolutionary War began. July 4, 1776, the Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence, written by Thomas Jefferson, asserting that all men are created equal. 1783, led by General George Washington and with help from France, the colonies defeated the British Empire, signing the Treaty of Paris. Forming a nation and westward expansion, 1787–1850s. In 1787, the U.S. Constitution was written, establishing a federal republic with a system of checks and balances. George Washington became the first president in 1789. During the 19th century, America expanded rapidly westward through purchases, like the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, treaties, and wars, the Mexican-American War. This era was driven by the idea of manifest destiny. The belief that America was destined to expand across the continent. However, this expansion resulted in the tragic displacement and forced relocation of Native Americans, famously known as the Trail of Tears. The Civil War and Reconstruction, 1861 to 1877. The nation was deeply divided over the issue of states' rights and slavery. The Southern economy relied on slave labor for cotton plantations, while the Northern economy was industrializing and increasingly anti-slavery. 1861. After Abraham Lincoln was elected president, 11 Southern states seceded to form the Confederacy, sparking the American Civil War. 1863, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring slaves in Confederate territory free. 1865, the Union won the war, preserving the United States and officially abolishing slavery nationwide via the 13th Amendment. Industrialization, Gilded Age, and Imperialism, 1870s, 1910s. Following the war, America experienced the Industrial Revolution. Factories boomed, railroads connected the coasts, and cities grew exponentially. Millions of immigrants from Europe arrived looking for the American dream. By the late 1890s, America shifted onto the global stage. Winning the Spanish-American War, 1898, gave the U.S. control over territories like Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines, marking its rise as an international power. The World Wars and the Great Depression, 1914 to 1945. The 20th century tested America's resilience on a global scale. World War I, 1917 to 1918. The U.S. entered late but helped the Allies secure victory. The Roaring Twenties, a decade of economic prosperity and cultural booming, Jazz Age. The Great Depression, 1929 to 1939. The stock market crashed, leading to massive poverty until President Franklin D. Roosevelt introduced the New Deal. World War II, 1941 to 1945. Following the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, America joined the Allies. The war ended in 1945 after the U.S. dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, leaving America as one of the world's two superpowers. The Cold War and Civil Rights Movement, 1945 to 1991. Post-World War II, the U.S. entered the Cold War, a decades-long geopolitical rivalry with the Communist Soviet Union, USSR. This led to proxy conflicts like the Korean War and the Vietnam War, as well as the space race, which culminated in America landing the first man on the moon in 1969. Domestically, the 1950s and 60s saw the civil rights movement, led by figures like Martin Luther King Jr. Black Americans fought against institutional racism and segregation, securing landmark legislation like the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The modern era, 1991-present. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, America emerged as the world's sole superpower. The 1990s brought an economic boom driven by the birth of the Internet and tech industries. However, the 21st century brought new challenges. September 11, 2001. The Al-Qaeda terrorist attacks prompted the War on Terror and long military campaigns in Afghanistan and Iraq. 2008, the election of Barack Obama as the first African American president, alongside a major global financial crisis. Recent years, the country has faced increasing political polarization, cultural shifts, economic changes, and the global challenges of the post-pandemic world.